Okay. Um, the light's kind of weird in here. I don't want to blast past this because I really something I've been looking forward to doing. Better Call Saul. Season 2. I have not had a chance to get into it until just now. Our internet and everything else has been piling up. Videos. Blah, blah, blah. Dang it, I am turning on this other light so that somebody can actually see my face. Maybe. I don't know. It's dark, it's weird. So I'm gonna do a recap of basically of the 5 episodes that we've got so far. I only have a little bit of time, so I'm gonna have to blow through a lot of stuff. But I am the biggest Breaking Bad fan. I'm the biggest. I love Saul and Gus Fring and Heisenberg. I love all these guys to pieces. You can't even. There's my Saul. Bought him. There he is. Jimmy McGill. Anyway. So the first episode is Switch, which was kind of an underwhelming episode. Everybody thought it would be something huge. And it just turns out to be this really well-crafted con on a piece of crap in a bar. He was great. They really led this guy on. And it kind of led Kim Wexler's character, played by Rhea Seehorn, if I'm saying it right, kind of down that road that Jimmy is kind of taking himself, where he was at the end of last season, where it's screw it. I'm just gonna, be whatever I want to be. I'm not gonna take any more crap off of anyone. So that's that episode. Now, Cobbler, on the other hand, man, it is really dark in this room. Usually it's brighter than the freaking sun in this room. Anyway, I digress. Cobbler, on the other hand, is where the season really starts. And it deals with how Mike, and that's another thing, this show should be called Better Call Saul, and Mike's on this, because there's 2 running stories on here. And one's Jimmy's and one's Mike's. And this is a major Mike story where, he tells the moron that he was working for, he gets robbed by Nacho, played by Michael Mando, who is just fantastic in this. He goes to the cops in the first episode. They find this little drug thing that cabinet. And so Jimmy has to go in for Mike to do him a favor and try to get his friend, this guy, off the hook. And he comes up with this story about guys who, and it is a thing, I know this is a thing, but he goes in and he tells about how this guy sits on pies for this guy, and they were videotaping it, and it was a secret, and that's how the reason why, instead of they're covering up their drug trafficking trade over, secretly, making up a story about a guy who sits on pies, and they make a video. The thing is, they never show the video. That was the only thing. It felt like a Twilight Zone episode where they less is more, and they don't show you what the guy looked like sitting on pies. It would have been hilarious. Oh my god. And then it shows Jimmy and Kim eating pie, and him telling her this was not one of those pies, this was just an extra pie. Alright, so now we're in Amarillo, episode 3. And this is where Jimmy's full on Matlock. He's got the white suit on, he meets this bus full of people, and he's trying to get people onto the Sandpiper case that's been going on, that got him the job. And, he manipulates the situation so that he can get all these people involved. He means well. He is not doing it in the best way possible because, legally you're not supposed to solicit. But he's trying to be creative. He's trying to get ahead. everything he does though ends up proving his brother right. Like he always takes the easy way out. But the cool thing about Jimmy is that he is doing everything to actually help someone. He's not doing this to screw anybody over. He's actually trying to help his clients out. He's just doing it in a way that's not that great. In this episode, you also find out that Mike's daughter-in-law is kind of going crazy. She thinks that people are shooting at her house, and it turns out that it's really just in her head. She's got PTSD a little bit, maybe. So that's that one part of the story. That was kind of a weak part, but that's okay. Then we finally come to Gloves Off, episode 4. This is when things get really out of control because Jimmy makes a commercial for Sandpiper's case in a place in Colorado Springs where nobody's paying attention. And he gets a whole bunch of people to start calling in, but it pisses his boss off because he didn't get permission to do it. As a viewer, I'm like, well, I don't disagree. I just, as a employee of someplace, I do, you have to follow policy, but I get where he's coming from. Like, he wanted to make a statement. He wants to do well. He does things in a way that only he knows how to do, which is just, he breaks the rules. Small rules, but rules nonetheless. And also in this episode is when Mike and Tuco face off, where Nacho has told him that they need to take Tuco out, and Mike also this is a whole bunch of people from Breaking Bad come back. So I'm gonna say that the guy Jim Beaver who played Lawson in Breaking Bad, the guy who gave Walter all his guns, he's in this. He was so good describing the whole scene where he's describing all the guns and the way to play each sniper rifle, and just fantastic acting, fantastic scene. Then you have this little tiny scene where it's Max, I want to say his name right, I swear to God, Max Arciniega, who was Crazy 8 from the very first season of Breaking Bad, is in this. We're seeing all these things come to fruition, so it's happening very soon. It's gonna be a crossover quickly. That's awesome. Well, anyway, Mike decides not to buy a gun, and instead chooses to instigate a situation with Tuco physically and wait for the cops to arrive instead of assassinating him. Put him in jail rather than kill him, because Mike doesn't want to kill anyone. Which is Mike's such a great character. Jonathan Banks is such a, he's one of our, if you like Breaking Bad, you know what I'm talking about. Jonathan Banks, he's a classic old 80s villain guy, and he's become this cultural icon of being on this show. And he's so good at being Mike and portraying him as a human being with a soul and a humanity of a criminal and la la la. Anyway, he forces a situation where Tuco, he beats the shit out of him, but Tuco goes to jail. So now we're at episode 5. Rebecca. This is where the whole two brothers thing comes in, because this is a story about two brothers. It's about Jimmy and, man, his brother and him. Just, I don't know when it started, but they kind of talk about it in this. It seems like jealousy. It seems like just hatred. to from one to the other. Like, Jimmy does not hate his brother. It seems like his brother just hates him, because everything seems so easy for him. Like, he had to work so hard, and so everything has been worse. And even when Jimmy is introduced to his brother's wife or fiance or whatever, pardon me, she's like into Jimmy. Like, she gets all his jokes, and his brother just does not. Chuck does not. He's not on the same level, and it's like he wishes he was, and he's like punishing Jimmy for being like on that level. So it's messed up. This episode is where Kim Wexler's in the basement trying to like bring herself back from being punished for Jimmy's sins. It's a great episode because Jimmy is forced to like try to do things on the up and up. I've got to finish this video pretty soon because I'm going to run out of time. So I'm going to bring it up to the biggest thing that made me like practically crap my pants, which was Mark Margolis. Mark Margolis comes back as Hector Salamanca, not in a wheelchair, not ringing a bell. He actually comes and talks to Jonathan Banks and says, hey, I want you to help out my nephew or grandson or whatever he is, like, to go out. It was amazing. If you have not watched this, get the hell out of here and watch that episode because it is all about Hector Salamanca. Holy cow. That means if Hector Salamanca is on here, that means we're really close to Gus Fring. We're going to see some really, really cool stuff happening. So I'm going to end it here. I know it's abrupt. It wasn't the best review or recap ever. I had to do like 5 episodes in like a couple of minutes. But, if you're not watching Better Call Saul, get on that, please. The show needs like fans. I need fans, so like and subscribe, even though you can barely see my face in this. For some reason, it's like dark as hell in here. So, yeah. And I'm going to do, now that I'm all caught up, I'm going to do the next episode of Better Call Saul better next time. So, thank you for watching Smirking Gun. I'm Rob. This is Better Call Saul. Keep watching that show, and if you haven't, watch it now. Have a good night. Bye.